Guys, and welcome back to my channel. My name is Jordan, and today I actually have something a little different. I am going to be doing my 2020 yearly wrap-up in this. I am going to show you and tell you about all of the books that I have read this year. Now, I have done way more reading this year alone than I have done in the last, I want to say, 5 or 6 years. I have done some of these books with my book club, but most of them I have done outside of my book club. That is the stack that you see right here. I was just devouring like a book a day in this series because I wanted to get through it, and then at some point I just kind of like stopped halfway, and I will tell you about that. I'm going to go over the titles of all of these books first because this is a series and I can't really tell you about each book. I don't have the time for that, so I'm just going to tell you about this series in general. The first book is Into the Dark. It has, it's actually, this book is 3 books in one. So the first book in this series, it is the Lords of the Underworld series by Gena Showalter. She is one of my all-time favorite authors. I have loved all of her work since late high school, and I cannot tell you, I own about almost 40 of her books, and I keep buying them even though I don't read what they're about because I just love her so much. I love all of her work, and I know I'll love the book because I love her. So I keep buying all of her books. So the first book is The Darkest Fire. The next book is The Darkest Night and The Darkest Kiss. You see a trend going on here. The Darkest Pleasure, The Darkest Whisper, and this one is The Darkest Angel. This is another 3-in-1 book, but this one has The Darkest Angel from this series. And the next one is The Darkest Passion, and the next one is The Darkest Lie. As you can see, my books are very well loved because I've had them for so long. And most of them I bought used from the library. The Darkest Secret, and The Darkest Surrender, The Darkest Craving, and the last book, this one I got about halfway in. This is The Darkest Seduction. I got about halfway through this book when my child spilled pop on it and messed it up, and I had to dry it out, and then he took the bookmark out. So I never did find that, and I also lost my place in the book, so I have to like skim through and find where I was in this book to finish reading that. That series, the Lords of the Underworld, is about a group of guys. They are immortal warriors. They were tasked to protect the gods, and one of them was Pandora. She was chosen to protect a box that housed demons. Well, these warriors did not like that. A woman was chosen over them, so they decided to kill her and open the box. They ended up killing her, opening the box, and their punishment was that they now have to house demons inside their bodies, and everybody in the world, there is a task force called Hunters. They are set out to kill them, and because they believe that they are the cause of all of the problems in the world. If your wife is cheating on you, it's because of the Lords of the Underworld. It is their fault. If you lost your job, it's their fault. If you stubbed your toe, it is their fault somehow. So everything is blamed on these men, and they are out to try to find Pandora's box. It disappeared after they opened it. They don't know what happened to it, and they are trying to get all of the demons put back into the box. The hunters are trying to get all the demons put back into the box, but removing the demon from the immortal warrior will kill the immortal warrior, and obviously those guys don't want to die, so they want to find the box first and, you know, hide it and keep their lives. So that series is amazing. It has got a lot of adventure in it, a lot of twists and turns. Every book is a different immortal warrior's story and all of their friends and family, and then they start to get their own stories later on. And these books are very, very smutty, so they have lots of sex in them and everything, and not all of the women leads are virgins. That seems to be a common theme, that the woman in the book is a virgin, and that does happen a lot, but it's not always. So if you do like reading smutty books, these are definitely the books for you. If you do not like reading those kinds of books, then you might want to check out Gena's other options. She has an entire printable book list of every book she's ever written. She's written over 70, and she is still writing more. and you can find other books that don't have so much smut in them, and that if that's your preference. So now I'm going to move on and talk about the other books that I have read this year in the order that I read them. So the first book is The Silent Patient by Alex Michaelides. I hope I pronounced that correctly. This book is about a supposedly happily married couple. One day, out of nowhere, the wife shoots the husband, and then she does not speak another word. So she gets locked up in an insane asylum. And this book is about a therapist who is trying to figure out why she killed her husband. I only got about halfway through this book when I kind of got bored with it and I put it down, and I never picked it back up. So I only finished half of this book. I do plan on finishing the other half of this before the year is out, because I do want to know what happened, why she killed her husband. Obviously I like mysteries, so I want to know. That is that book, and I'm going to set that down. And the next book I read was How to Hang a Witch. This book is part 1 in a duology. I read the other book later in this year, and I will show you that book later when I get to it. This book is about 16-year-old Samantha Mather. She moves to a small town in Salem, Massachusetts. She moves to Salem, Massachusetts, and as it turns out, her father's side of the family is related to the same man, Cotton Mather, that started the Salem witch trials. So you can imagine how all of the descendants of the hung witches feel about that. And this book is about a curse that is plaguing the town, and all of the descendants start dying off, and Sam has to figure out who is causing all of these deaths and put a stop to it. So this book was absolutely amazing. I loved it. If you don't like this kind of book, then I suggest you don't read it. It has a lot of deaths in it. I tabbed a lot of people who die. I tabbed some quotable things, and all of that. So that's a really good book. I liked that one. The next book I read was The Missing by Jane Casey, and this book is about a 20-something-year-old woman. She is a teacher at a school in the same small town she grew up in. When she was 8 years old, her brother went missing, and nobody has ever known what happened to him. And now that she is a teacher, one of her 12-year-old students has gone missing as well. And this book is about her trying to figure out what happened to her brother and to her current student. She ends up involved in this police investigation and trying to figure out what happened. And I definitely recommend that book if you like those whodunit mysteries, because I absolutely did not see the ending coming. I did not have any idea who did it. So that was a really good book. Another book I reread this year, I read this one in high school. This is called The Ghost and the Goth by Stacey Kade. I loved this book in high school, and I decided I wanted to reread it, and upon rereading it, I found out that it had 2 more books. It is a trilogy. So I did buy those books, and I started the second one, but I did not finish it. This book is about a young girl. She dies in a freak accident during the school day, and the only one who can see her is the goth kid that nobody talks to and nobody likes. And as it turns out, he can see ghosts. So he has to help her figure out why she is stuck earthbound and why she cannot cross over into the afterworld. And there are 2 more books in that series. I have not finished it, so I haven't, whatever, but I absolutely loved that book. The next book I read was Renegades. I'm actually going to talk about all 3 of these at the same time because I'm going to get through this really quickly. Renegades, Archenemies, and Supernova. This is a trilogy book about a young girl named Nova Artino. She is everybody in this world has superpowers, and her superpower is that she can put people to sleep when she touches them. And her family was murdered when she was a young girl, and her uncle raised her, and she is trying to get revenge on the people who were supposed to protect her and her family, who are the Renegades. And she ends up infiltrating their facility, becoming a renegade, and working with the team, and she is trying to take them down. But, there's obviously, it's a trilogy, a whole bunch of stuff happens. I highly recommend this series if you love books that revolve around that kind of thing. The next book I read was Girl, Woman, Other by Bernardine Evaristo. I'm not sure how to pronounce that. Again, I'm terrible with that. And this book is, I was told that it was a book about, you know, women of color growing up in the UK. And as it turns out, it is a series of women's stories. It is many, many, many stories all collected into one, and everybody is connected to everybody else. And this was very confusing for me because there is absolutely no punctuation in this book. I did not like that. And the stories, they don't tell you their entire life stories. They just start somewhere random and then they end somewhere else random. And it just didn't make any sense to me. I didn't really care for this book, but if you like that kind of thing, then this book is definitely the book for you. The next book we read was The Nutcracker in the Four Realms. I'm sure if you guys have seen the movie, you know all about this book. It is a spin-off version of The Nutcracker, and I absolutely loved this book. It is about Clara and finding a secret world that her mother created, and she has to figure out there's a war going on in that world, and she has to figure out why it is going on and put a stop to it. So that was amazing. And now I finally got into the second book in that duology of How to Hang a Witch. This is Haunting the Deep. This is the second book. It takes place 6 months after the first one. This is where Samantha Mather has figured out that her mother's side of the family is related to people who died on the Titanic. And in this book, there is another curse going on. All of the dead souls from the Titanic have been taken away and they don't know where they are. They are doomed to live in like this Groundhog's Day, repeat the day before the Titanic sank forever. And Samantha has to figure out why they are being trapped there and who is doing it, and obviously put a stop to it. I absolutely loved this book. It was a great conclusion. I love Adriana Mather. She has written another set of books called Hunting November and Killing November. I can't remember which one comes first, but I have one of them, and I cannot wait to get to read that series. It is going to be so exciting. There's only actually 2 deaths in this book, so it's a lot less deathy than the other one, but, you know, I don't always mind. And the last and final book that I am in the middle of reading right now is called The Language of Thorns, Midnight Tales and Dangerous Magic. This is a series of short stories that introduce you to the Grishaverse for the Shadow and Bone trilogy and the Six of Crows duology. Now, I have not read any of those books, but I just found out that they are doing a Netflix, either a TV show or a movie based on Shadow and Bone, and that comes out in April, so I have to quickly read the trilogy so that I can watch that show. I'm like so excited for it, and I haven't even read about it. I don't know anything about it. This set of short stories, there are 6 short stories in this book, and they have a lot of lessons in them, and I'm very excited. I have read 4 of them so far, and they are amazing. I can't wait to read the last 2. So if that is what you want to do, I suggest you definitely read this book and read the other ones as well. And if there are any books on this list that you have read that you want to talk about, please leave a comment down below, like and subscribe to my channel, and share away. I also still have my Etsy shop up and going. I sell bookmarks. Excuse me, my daughter is just now waking up, so I need to go. I will wrap this up now, so I hope to see you guys later, and I hope you guys let me know what books you have read from the ones that I've read just this year, and let me know what you've read, and let me know if you have a channel, and I will absolutely go check that out and watch your videos and all of that stuff. So I will catch up with you guys another time. Thanks, bye!